The man responsible for bringing R2-D2 to life has died. Kenny Baker starred in 6 Star Wars films, ranging from the first movie in 1977 to Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, in 2005.
Hello, I'm Tom Algie, and welcome to Red Shoe Media's tribute to the life of Kenny Baker. Today we pay our respects and our tribute to the man who brought to life a character that kicked a worldly renowned franchise into action. Many believe, myself included, that without Baker's performance in personifying the astrodroid R2-D2 in the Star Wars films, that train would have stopped in the opening scenes of its first film. R2-D2 brings some of the most memorable moments of the Star Wars series to a head, without even uttering a single word of dialogue, excluding his iconic beeps and boops. R2-D2 was not alone in his travels, however, joined by Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Chewbacca, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and of course C-3PO, who accompanied the character on 95% of his scenes in the entire franchise. C-3PO was played and voiced by Anthony Daniels. They are the only 2 cast members who have been directly involved on screen and off in all 7 of the Star Wars movies so far. However, what on-screen chemistry they appear to have on screen isn't all it seems to be behind the scenes, with both actors on record discussing their issues with the other. Here's an interview with Justin Lee Collins from the show Bring Back Star Wars, where Kenny Baker explains his reasons for his dislike of Anthony Daniels.
It was just horrendous. I would say, "Hello, Tony, how are you?" I'm having a conversation. And walk away from me. So I wiped my hands on. I couldn't care less, you know. He never bought me a drink, never bought me a cup of tea, never said, "Hello, how are you? Sorry to hear about your wife," when my wife died. No arguments at all. He just won't talk to me. In Chicago, I remember said this to me: "Why don't you and I go out on more of these that we're doing now? And we clean up. Just the 2 of us, you know." I don't do many of these. And that was it. They wouldn't even look at me. "Go away, little man," you know. The last time I spoke to him was in Boston, and he was in front of me. I said, "You have a nice weekend, Tony?" He said, "I'm having a conversation," and walked away. He wasn't talking to anybody. It's what could have hit him. If I'd have been as big as you, I'd have hit him. Yeah, I was furious. I was shaking with rage. I really was, and I'm not easily upset.
Since his passing, many of the Star Wars stars have taken to social media to show their love for their co-star and the backbone of the Star Wars story, from Ewan McGregor to Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, who tweeted this tweet moments after the announcement of his death. In recent years, Baker has been going on to cons and signings around the globe, sharing stories and making Star Wars fans feel like his best friend. Here are a few moments from his interview in 2005, where his open and honest and always light-hearted conversations always entertain.
In a clown's costume, riding a penny farthing, you know, a penny and a farthing, funny, with wheels, with pedals on the wheel, and a little wheel at the back. Penny, that was my first bike. And then he bought me a bike to get to the theatre and to I couldn't believe it. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. That's bigger than me. That licks me, and every time I go, it gets near. And he's right there, with me, his face is there. He's a big, huge dog. I mean, he's lovely, Pete. He's really happy. And my mother and father separated when I was 8. Mother went to America, which then was light years away. I mean, you didn't just... America? Where's America?
It's another planet.
Yeah, it was, in those days, back in the 1950s. And I lost my mother. So my father, we remarried, and we were going to go and live in Brisbane, in Australia. And when you went for an operation in Birmingham, right, where I come from, in England, and for gallstones, an operation, which was nothing, and died of pneumonia in the hospital. Couldn't believe it. So now I've lost my mother, then I've lost my father, then my dog died. You know, it was a complete... Then I left school. Stepmother didn't want to know because she'd got a baby girl. It was my sister. And then she had a mother that was sick and couldn't cope with the hotel in Hastings, on the south coast. So she went to help her mother to look after the hotel and the baby Carol, that was my sister. She couldn't cope with me. I'd come out of school at 16, didn't know what to do with me at all. And I just happened to bump into a little lady, like the lady I've got with me now, in the street. And she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I've just left school, you know. And I'm going to come and see the show tonight." There's a show in town, in Hastings, with 20 little people. A review on stage and theatre. And she said, "What can you do?" Well, I said, "Go and see the boss." She said, "Come, we see the show, then come round and see the boss. And he might offer you a job." I always repeat this one. I went to San Diego last year, and the year before. Perhaps I'll probably go again this year. It's lovely. That's if I can get in there. So, anyway, I was in San Diego, and I'm signing autographs, just in photographs. And this lady came up, she said, "Would you sign this?" And she was about 30, 35. And I started to write on whatever it was she gave me to sign. And she burst into tears. So she was really crying. I said, "What are you crying for?" No, I never normally have this effect on women. She said, "Well, the thing is, when I was a little girl, and Star Wars came out, R2-D2, my parents were going through a divorce, and R2-D2 was the only thing that kept me happy. Just take him to bed with me every night." How about that?
That's a
I was in
fantastic.
tears. Yeah, I was in tears myself. I thought, gee, what a thing to say.
So there we have it. We have just scraped the surface of the man that was Kenny Baker. One of the oldest dwarf actors in Hollywood, he lived a full and wonderful life. A man who touched the hearts of many as one of the most iconic and loved characters in movie history. He also made us feel like we were special, and as I said before, his friend. A man who has gone into low power mode for the last time, leaving a hole in our hearts and a small footprint on the planet in a life that was by no means short-lived. Rest in peace, Kenny Baker, and until we meet again in a galaxy far, far away,